So welcome back to Loud. Here we go, we're in New York City. You know, man, it's Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. You've got another record out, a new one. Things are better for you, you said.
Yep.
At this point.
Yep.
Talk about the last 5 years.
The last 5 years were, we were kind of doing a lot of soul searching in America. There wasn't really any place for bands that were metal per se. Either you were new metal or you were dead. And we thought, well, we're not new metal because I don't really particularly like to rap. So we kind of looked at what our options were, and we were having a lot of success at radio. So we kind of followed that a little bit, and it started to lead us down a dead-end street where the only way you can have any more success with that is becoming more commercial, and that's not what we wanted to do. So we basically just changed out everybody and hired new people and got a new record company, new management, new agent overseas, new everything.
It also seems like this record, though, the new one, might even take care of some of the old fans. You know, when you listen to it, because what you don't do is your song structure is very definitive when it comes to being Megadeth. You've got a song, Return to Hangar. When I listen to it, and I've heard some of the press around it, it's like, oh, to our friends, this is the follow-up. Mm-hmm. Do you consciously think, there are some people who followed Megadeth, who probably want to hear something like this?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fans that want to hear that kind of music again, and I'm one of them, especially when, you hear these younger bands and they say, well, we're influenced by you. And then you kind of think, well, is it the old stuff or is it the new stuff? Because the guy from Matchbox 20 goes up to Marty Friedman and says, oh, you're one of my influences. I'm thinking, well, maybe he knows something about Marty that I don't,
When you take a look at the state of metal today, you talk about new metal, everybody wearing Adidas track pants, and it works for them. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, some people say this isn't even really metal anymore. Is this the lowest point in metal? Because there was a time when it was...
No, I think that we've already survived the lowest point in metal because there was a period where, it was, for me personally, starving, living in a car, all those kind of things, and watching punk be, to watch it be overtaken by metal, that was probably the low point. And then since then, it continued to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Then there was in the 90s where it was passé to be metal, but there still was all these other bands that were still there. Heavy metal went underground. It never got uncool. And heavy metal really isn't even a music style. It's a way of life. When the alternative bands came onto the scene, that's when things started to change.
Metal has a core audience. And at times it will be the flavor of the month for the people who would never normally get into it. Pop is everywhere, for better or worse, but it's certainly here. Is there that groundswell beginning?
I can feel something taking place right now, and about 3 years ago I said that within the next 2 years you're going to see metal start becoming popular again, and it definitely is happening right now. With our new record coming out, with the greatest hits and the 2 songs that we put on there, we were showing that, we're not the band that you think we are because you've watched the last 2 records try and break down a very difficult barrier. Now, some people know that the barrier to pop and alternative radio and the marketplace is really hard to break through, and they don't try. They just say, we're going to be satisfied with what little things we have. We went up there and said, we're going to give it a shot. Granted, it didn't really turn out 100%, but I mean, we made an accomplishment. When we look at some of the other bands that are out there doing this stuff, they just aren't willing to take the chance.
You took the chance with Risk. You've been very open about that record. Were you generally happy with the album, or are you the kind of band that isn't happy with stuff you've done?
No, I like the record a lot. We got a lot of new fans from that record, lost a lot of old fans from that record, and there's a lot of people that are kind of itching their head waiting to see what this new one's going to be like. Now, personally, I believe that a lot of the new fans we got, when they hear this record, they're going to say, well, this isn't my Megadeth, And a lot of the old fans are going to say, fuck yeah, and a lot of the people that are in the middle are going to say, you know what, I understand what Dave was trying to do. He was trying to accomplish something because Metallica did it. They crossed over to alternative. Soundgarden did it. They crossed over to alternative. Nirvana crossed over from alternative into rock radio. So there's bands that could do these things, like these dual sport people like Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson. We made a noble attempt at it, and even though we did, crack it, we didn't break it down.
Sure.
So, I mean, do I look back at the record like Joe Elliott saying that he can't listen to his first record without being drunk? No.
Is there a next generation of Megadeth? Does Dave Mustaine feel that, Megadeth has a lifespan?
I think that we're just starting the second half of our career, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a good run over here with this label. They seem to understand us, and I think that part of the difficulty is when you're at a place where people don't understand you. It's, you know, what do you do with these guys? Well, you know, they're going to make a record, they're going to put it out, we'll give them a little bit of money, and we'll see who buys it. Well, that's not how you sell records. You develop a band, and you develop their following, and you develop their future.
That seems like that's gone, in a sense where you don't develop bands the way you used to. Now, it's if it doesn't really work on one single, it's kind of over for the band. You get dropped and you move on.
Right.
You know, would you want to run a label?
Would I want to run one? I don't know. I think that it's probably very time-consuming and very involved. I would love to get some other bands good deals and help them get a good deal with a label that would take good care of them. But that's really far and few between where you can get a good deal from a good label that'll take good care of you.
Do you think at this stage politics and music still mix? Do you think it's still important for musicians to stand up and want to be involved the way you were?
For musicians who know what the hell they're talking about, you know, it's kind of hard for me, you know, having the success that I've got right now to go and tell people that I understand what it's like to be a 16-year-old and to hate authority and to want to, you know, start some anarchy in my backyard. I mean, I still don't really appreciate authority, but I understand what it's there for. You know, I still know what it's like to be poor, you know, and I remember, you know, it's not like I don't get involved because I do a lot of charity work right now because I never want to go back there. And I want to make sure that if I do, that I've made friends with some of the guys under the bridge, you know. Intolerance and hatred is the same thing, you know. I mean, I can't stand our government policies and stuff like that, and there's a lot of things that I can't stand, like ignorance and apathy. But, you know, I've never condemned anybody for being ignorant or apathetic because, you know, man, I'd lose half my friends and family.
I guess we are what we are.
Yeah.
That's cool. Thank you very much, man.